Tim Langston with Red Dog Bushcraft, home of global safety and survival. We're out here at a new training area today, and I thought we'd do a little project, and I bring you along with me. We need to acquire some water. In the time that I've been out here, I have not been able to locate any sufficient source of fresh water, so I've had to bring in all of my water for the day or days that I've been out here. And keeping in the theme of a self-reliance or a survival situation, I would like to acquire some water on site. In case something was to happen, we'd have a place that we could go and obtain some fresh drinking water. This is a little peninsula that sets out surrounded by water, but it's salt water. So none of that is any good to us for drinking purposes unless we were to set up a system to convert that salt water to fresh drinking water, and that's a lot of work and requires a lot of fire. What I thought I'd do today is just go out and dig an Egyptian well or a Coyote well that would provide us with some fresh water. I think I found a location where it will produce us enough water for that. We'll go out and we'll take a look at it. And keeping in that same theme of self-reliance or a survival situation, I'm just going to carry my pack with my gear that I carry with me every day and my Pathfinder canteen kit system. We'll be using one of the knives that we issue to students, along with a Baco Laplander saw and just my everyday carry pocket knife. Some gloves. I have already pre-treated all of my clothes. We're in the latter parts of spring. Can't talk this morning. But anyway, the ticks and the chiggers are out in full force right now, so I need to make sure that I stay protected. So we have a long sleeve shirt that's all treated up and a pair of work gloves to protect my hands. So stay with me. I'll go out and I'll show you the area where we're going to create this well, and we'll get started. Okay, we've walked down to the area, and what you're seeing right now is a lowland area of marsh, and the wet water line comes all the way up to where two ravines meet, and that intersection is right here in front of us. And then this wet line runs up this bank, comes down to this confluence, and it runs up this way, and it goes to a wet line heading uphill here. So I think what we have is we've got a little bit of a ground seep coming out of this way and coming down, and it meets at this location, and we have a little bit more seep coming out of the ground heading up this way. Now we're in an area where there's no agriculture. This is over 100 acres, and I think that we're going to be safe here, but the only way that we're going to tell is to actually start digging this thing out and actually creating a well, see how much water we can gather. Now, instead of being right down here at the bottom in the wettest area, which may actually provide us more water, we're going to go up one of these wet stream areas here, probably the one right here in front of us, this area. We're going to go uphill just a little bit. There's a little flat area there, and I think that's the wettest of the two, and we're going to start digging our well there. Alright, setting up the camera where you get a decent view is a little bit challenging, but all I've done is I've cut me a good sized digging stick, and I've rounded the edge over with my knife so it doesn't dig into my hand. Got an angle down at the bottom, and I'm going to use that stick just to scrape away some of this top debris and mud, give myself a good clear area to start digging. You can tell this is wet, a lot of leaf matter and decayed sticks and all in it. And that's okay, that's one of the signs that we're looking for. And then I'm going to dig into my water kit here. And this Pathfinder system, there's a stove that you can buy. Makes using your canteen system a little bit easier. And you could use your cup for this. You know, if you brought a little digging tool, entrenchment tool for going to the bathroom out in the woods, that would work. But I don't usually keep that in my kit. I usually just use a digging stick. So staying with the theme of using what I have in the backpack, I'm going to just take this and start digging a hole. So let me get that cleared back with the stick here for just a little bit. I'll save you the boredom of watching me dig with a stick. and then I'll come back periodically and show you the progress. Okay, I've got the top layer pulled back, and I'm taking all of that material, I'm just pulling it downstream, creating a little bit of a dam there. And that's just going to help us as water starts to settle in this area. It'll help it back up and go down into our hole. And now all I'm going to do is take this cup with the notch up, and I'm going to start scooping this stuff out of here. Get me a level spot up here first, and I can see as I dig down in here, there is sand below this muck. So that's a good sign. Anytime we have sand, that's a good indication that that can help us filter that water. Let me see if I can get a little bit of that. I don't know if you'll be able to tell sand from mud on the camera, but you might be able to hear that. But that's nice sand. So let me dig this out a little bit more, and I'll bring you back. Okay, I'm gonna go hands-free here, so excuse the shakiness of the camera, but I just can't get the tripod down in here the way I want it. Alright, so I've got a pretty big coyote hole dug here. As you can see, if I was just doing this to get a couple of quarts of water in my container, I would have not gone this big. This is probably 2 foot by 2 foot by about, oh, I guess it's at least 1.5 foot deep. And I didn't run into a whole lot of roots, and what I did, I was able to cut with my knife until I got down to this point. Now I've got some good sized roots down there, so if I want to go any deeper in this, I'm going to have to take the saw and cut those out, or come back with a hatchet. But I don't normally keep a hatchet in the woods, so I really didn't want to do that. And I really think that once this fills up and settles, it'll provide me the amount of water that I needed. Now, let me back up and put this on the tripod, and I'll give you a couple lessons learned. Okay, you'll have to excuse the angle of the tripod because I had a hard time getting it in a position to where I can show you this stuff. So, lessons learned in this project. Number one, I should have had some sticks available to me to begin with that I could put on each side of this hole, because as I said, it is a wet area. So if you want to put your knee down, or if you want to be able to stand without sinking up to your knees, you're going to need to lay some debris down on the ground, some good hard sticks. So I used some deadfall that was around here and what was left of the beech tree that I used to cut my digging stick here. The other thing is, as the water is seeping in now, I can see it seeping from the edges and the bottom, actually filling this hole, and the sides are caving in. So when I come back, if it produces the amount of water that I want, I'm going to have to find some good wood, maybe some cedar, something that I can place in this hole to keep it from filling in. And I'll probably need to put something over top of it too to keep animals from getting in it, messing it up, doing their business in it, and just to keep out leaf litter and debris. So I'll need to find something that I can cover this eventually. So I'll build a box in here, not a waterproof box, but something that'll keep the soil from caving in, and then something that I can put over top of it. And as I walk around this area, there's tons of trash and debris and stuff out in the woods, and now that I know what I want, maybe I can find something. If not, we'll create something out of nature with some type of wood that will not rot, at least not readily anyway. But as you might be able to tell, I've got one side over here that's caving in pretty good, so that's going to cause me a little bit of issue. But also, where it's caving in is where I'm really getting a lot of water coming in this hole. So if I can get this to where I can put a quart bottle down in here and fill it up with water, I'll be pretty happy with this.
The other thing, as you're digging using this thing, now this canteen stove, it has a sharper edge on it than your canteen cup, and it made for a really good digging tool, but it's slow, and the holes in it made it pretty easy to dump the dirt back out of it. It didn't stick in the cup. Of course, this is pretty sandy stuff in here, like I said, but as you can see, if I just reach down in here where that was falling in, it falls right out. I've done this with cups before, and you almost have to shake it out every time. That gets frustrating. Moving your dirt further away when you first start with your digging stick and as you're cleaning out your area is a good thing, because it kept building up right around my feet, and then you're stepping in it and some's pushing back in your hole. So you want to move your debris far enough down that it's out of your way. But the idea of this was that if it fills up and starts to overrun the pit, I have a little bit of a dam here, and that will just help collect more water in this area. So I didn't want to go too far away, and I didn't want to waste that energy. But I started out right at the edge in front, and as I decided to create the hole bigger, it was kind of in my way, and then I had to move it again. So be conscientious of where you put your spoil from your hole that you're digging. I'll bring you in one more time as a close-up, and you can see how this thing's filling up with water, and you can see a little bit of that, the sides that are falling in. So hold on a minute, I'll reposition the camera. Okay, here you can see on this corner right here where it's falling in already, but I don't think you can see. Let me try. If you can see any of that water that's seeping in right there. But it is definitely seeping in and filling that up. So if it produces, we'll have a little bit more work to do. Okay, one more lesson learned from this project, and that is, if you think you're going to get into a situation to where you're going to need this, start early, because I've gone through 2/3 of this canteen of good fresh water just trying to replenish myself as I dig this. So, you know, you got to plan early, or you're going to be in a pretty tough situation when you actually need it. Okay guys, thanks for joining me with another project out here in the new survival area. I hope you enjoyed it. I enjoyed bringing it to you. Once again, I'm Tim Langston with Red Dog Bushcraft, home of global safety and survival. And until next time, God bless.